We present volumetrically consistent 3D Gaussian rasterization. In this work, we start with 3D.js and remove the splatting assumptions from its rasterizer, which leads to better novel view synthesis and enables applications like computed tomography without any custom changes to our rasterizer. Let's quickly recap 3D.js at 100 fps. 3D.js represents a scene with a 3D Gaussian mixture assuming non-overlapping primitives that are sorted based on their camera distance. Each 3D Gaussian is parameterized by its mean, covariance, density, and a constant color throughout the Gaussian. To compute the color at a pixel along the camera ray, 3D.js splats the 3D Gaussians to 2D Gaussians, completely ignoring their z-depth, and then renders them in the image space. The splattered 2D Gaussians are then evaluated at the pixel to compute their contribution alpha. The colors are then alpha blended to get the final pixel intensity. In our method, we compute alpha by analytically integrating 1D projections of the Gaussian density along the camera ray. Unlike 3D.js, our alpha computation is consistent with volume rendering and has a closed form solution. This maintains compatibility with the 3D.js rasterization backend, achieving similar speed while offering greater physical consistency. We now briefly look at the splatting approximations in 3D.js that are alleviated by our method. 3D.js linearizes the camera projection function to compute the covariance of the splattered 2D Gaussian. This approximation causes perspective distortions while also ignoring the z-depth of the Gaussian. As a result, 3D.js renders the same image for two Gaussians with significantly different z-scales. 3D.js derives its alpha blending by approximating the volume rendering integral. Specifically, they linearize the exponential while computing the transmittance. Our method recovers the same alpha blending expression without this approximation. Essentially, we remove all the approximations in 3D.js mentioned before. As a result, we capture the effect of z-scales in the rendered Gaussians. Similar to 3D.js, we only require the primitives to be sorted and non-overlapping for rasterization. Besides being physically more consistent, we also render piecewise constant textures better than 3D.js. To show this, we render a 3D Gaussian with both 3D.js and our method and examine the 1D cross-sections of the rendered images. By increasing the z-scale or density, we can render non-Gaussian flat top profiles from a 3D Gaussian primitive. This is not possible with 3D.js due to the Gaussian falloff of the splattered 2D Gaussian. We motivate the benefits of this ability for view synthesis by fitting 3D Gaussian primitives using our method and 3D.js on increasingly complex toy examples. We start with fitting an image of a disk with a single 3D Gaussian primitive. Since our method supports rendering constant opaque textures, we fit a constant disk with a much higher fidelity than 3D.js. Even for a complex image with more primitives, our method renders sharp edges and interiors for the pink square, while 3D.js exhibits bleeding artifacts and blurrier edges. We observe a similar trend on multi-view data as well. Here we show an example on the Lego scene from the nerve synthetic dataset. These improvements are enabled by our principled alpha computation. So let's take a closer look at it. We show that alpha for a Gaussian equals the difference in transmittance capital T evaluated at t equals 0 and t equals infinity, and we derive its closed form. The integral in the analytical expression for alpha is a product of the covariance beta and the peak value of the 1D projected density, both of which can be computed using the 3D Gaussian parameters. Moving on to real results. Our method allows 3D Gaussian primitives to render constant textures and sharp edges more effectively than 3D.js as demonstrated in the insets. As a result, we outperform 3D.js as measured in SSIM and LPIPs, which capture edge sensitivity and perceptual similarity. More details on evaluations and baseline comparisons for the standard datasets can be found in our paper. We also outperform 3D.js across varying memory budgets. The memory budget is measured by fixing the same upper limit on the number of points generated during optimization for both the methods. We observe that in case of poor camera calibration or insufficient densification, our method tends to produce sharp, streaky artifacts, whereas 3D.js yields blurrier renderings that are favorable for PSNR. Let's take a quick look at tomography in context of our rasterizer. Tomography recovers the scene density sigma by illuminating the scene with a known intensity and capturing 2D measurements at different angles. The measured pixel intensity is proportional to the transmittance along a ray. We provide a more accurate forward model of tomography than 3D.js by computing exact per primitive transmittance. As a result, our rasterizer matches current 3D GS-based methods in performance with 10% fewer primitives. Please check out our code and project page. We look forward to chatting with you at our poster on June 14th. See you in Nashville!